My name is Elijah, and I attend law school at Northwestern. The demanding schedule has turned me into something of a night owl, often studying until the early hours of the morning when the campus becomes eerily quiet. This past winter, I decided to visit my parents in Michigan for the holidays. Though it's only a few hours from Chicago, I don't make it home as often as I should. Law school has a way of consuming every waking moment. I finished my last exam on December 22nd, leaving me just enough time to pack and catch the last train that night. Taking the train was something I'd done countless times before. It was cheaper than flying and more reliable than driving through potential snowstorms. The 11:45 p.m. Amtrak from Chicago to Kalamazoo was practically a second home during my undergrad years. That night was bitterly cold, the kind of winter chill that makes your lungs ache with each breath. The station was nearly deserted, just a handful of other late-night travelers hunched over their phones or dozing on uncomfortable benches. When the train finally pulled in, I found my car and settled into a window seat, my backpack tucked beside me. The car was almost empty, just an elderly couple sitting several rows ahead and a businessman typing on his laptop across the aisle. I plugged in my earbuds, queued up a playlist, and watched Chicago's lights fade into the distance as we pulled away from the station. About an hour into the journey, most of the lights in the car had been dimmed. The elderly couple was asleep, heads tilted together, and the businessman had packed up his laptop. I was drifting in and out of consciousness myself, lulled by the rhythmic clicking of the train on the tracks. I was jolted awake by my phone vibrating in my pocket. Bleary-eyed, I checked the screen. Unknown number. It was just after 1 a.m. I declined the call and tried to get comfortable again. 5 minutes later, my phone vibrated again. It was the same unknown number. I declined it once more, this time silencing my phone completely. I glanced around the car. Everyone else was still sleeping peacefully. Just as I was about to put my phone away, it lit up with a text message from the same number. "I can see you, Elijah." I stared at the message, convinced I must have misread it. But I hadn't. My first instinct was to look around the train car, but nothing had changed. The same sleeping passengers, the same empty seats. Another text came through. Blue Northwestern hoodie, left side of the train, window seat. My hands were trembling now. I was wearing exactly that, my worn Northwestern law hoodie. I also was sitting on the left side of the train. I looked out the window, but all I could see was my own reflection against the darkness outside. I typed back, "Who is this?" The response came immediately, 10 rows back. My heart pounding, I slowly turned my head. 10 rows behind me was a seat I could have sworn was empty earlier. Now someone was sitting there, a man in a dark coat, face obscured by shadows, staring directly at me. When our eyes met, he smiled, not a friendly smile, but something predatory. He lifted his hand in a small wave, then pointed to his phone. My phone vibrated again. "Remember me from Professor Harmon's criminal law class? You took my spot in the clerkship competition." I had no idea who this person was. Yes, I'd participated in a clerkship competition last semester and had been selected for a prestigious position, but I couldn't recall anyone showing particular animosity over it. "What do you want?" I typed back. "Just to talk. About how you sabotaged my application. About the files you accessed on Harmon's computer." I had never accessed any files or sabotaged anyone. This person was either delusional or trying to set me up. "You have the wrong person," I wrote. He smiled again and began typing. My phone lit up. "Doesn't matter what's true. Only matters what I can make people believe. How do you think the honor board would react to the evidence I've created?" The train slowed as we approached a small station in the middle of nowhere. The man stood up, still watching me, and moved toward the doors. "This is my stop," came another text. "But don't worry, I know where you're going. Your parents' house on Elmwood Drive, right? Maybe I'll see you there instead." He stepped off the train, walked over to my window, and took a photo of my horrified expression before disappearing into the darkness. I reported the incident to the conductor, to the police at the next major stop, and later to my school. I spent the entire holiday looking over my shoulder, jumping at every notification on my phone. I never saw the man again and never found out who he was either. But I changed my number, deleted my social media accounts, and requested a leave of absence from school. Sometimes I still wake up in the middle of the night, reaching for my phone, certain it's about to light up with a message from an unknown number. I've always been the type who prefers to work alone. That's why taking the overnight security position at a medical center seemed perfect. Minimal interaction with others, decent pay, and plenty of quiet time to study for my classes. The hospital had just built a new wing, but it wouldn't be operational for another month. My job was simply to patrol the empty floors and make sure nothing was out of the ordinary. The building was 5 stories tall, with the new wing connected to the main hospital by a long, glass-enclosed walkway on the 3rd floor. My shifts started at 11 p.m. and ended at 7 a.m. The routine was straightforward. Walk each floor every 2 hours, check all exit doors, and monitor the security cameras from the desk in between rounds. My first week went by without incident. The emptiness of the new wing was peaceful. Just the soft hum of the ventilation system and the occasional creaking of the building settling. It was during my 2nd week that I first noticed something odd. I was making my 3 a.m. rounds when I heard what sounded like a chair scraping across the floor somewhere on the 4th level. The sound didn't repeat, but it had been unmistakable. I called out, announcing myself as security and asking if anyone was there. My voice bounced off the walls, met only with silence. I radioed my supervisor in the main building. I asked him if anyone was supposed to be in the new wing tonight, like maintenance or cleaning staff. He declined and said that the building should be empty. I continued my round, checking each room on the 4th floor. Everything was in order, no signs of entry and no equipment out of place. I convinced myself it must have been the building settling, or perhaps a sound carrying over from the main hospital. The following night was uneventful, but on my 3rd night that week, during my 1 a.m. round, I noticed that one of the computers in what would be the nurse's station was turned on. The blue light from the screen cast an eerie glow in the darkness. I was certain all computers had been off during my previous round. I approached cautiously, my flashlight beam joining the computer's glow. The screen showed only the login page. No one had actually signed in. I checked the system logs later and found no record of anyone accessing that particular terminal. By the end of the week, I was beginning to feel on edge. Small things kept happening that I couldn't explain. A door I'd closed would be open on my next round. Items on desks would be rearranged slightly. Once, I found wet footprints leading from a bathroom to the stairwell, but they disappeared on the stairs themselves. I reported each incident to my supervisor. He always checked it out but never found anything. He thought I was probably forgetting things or that other staff members were making brief visits that hadn't been communicated to me. Then came the night that still makes my skin crawl when I think about it. I was at the security desk, reviewing camera footage from the previous hour, when movement caught my eye on one of the live feeds. A shadow passed quickly across the screen showing the 4th floor corridor. It was so fast I nearly missed it. Just a dark shape moving from one doorway to another. I radioed my supervisor immediately, telling him I'd spotted possible movement on camera 4 on the 4th floor and was going to check it out. He asked if I wanted backup from the main building. I told him no because I didn't want to embarrass myself with yet another false alarm. I'd check first and call if needed. I took the stairs to the 4th floor, my heart pounding harder with each step. The corridor was silent when I arrived. I announced my presence as security, urging anyone there to identify themselves immediately. But I got nothing back. I moved slowly down the hallway, checking each room methodically. Nothing seemed disturbed. I was approaching the last room, a storage area for medical equipment, when the unmistakable sound of breathing that wasn't my own. It was coming from inside the storage room. The door was slightly ajar, though I distinctly remembered it being closed during my earlier rounds. I pushed it open with my foot, the flashlight aimed into the darkness. I issued one final warning, stating that I would call the police if whoever was there didn't identify themselves immediately. My flashlight beam caught something moving between 2 tall storage cabinets. A person dressed in hospital scrubs crouching low to the ground. Before I could react, they sprinted past me with shocking speed, knocking me against the door frame. I caught only a glimpse of their face. It was a middle-aged man. He disappeared down the hallway toward the main hospital. I gave chase, radioing frantically for backup, but by the time I reached the walkway, I had lost him. The door to the main building required badge access, and the logs showed no one had used it in the past hour. My supervisor and other security employees combed both buildings but found no one. The cameras in the hallway and walkway showed me running alone. No sign of the person I'd seen. I didn't return for my shift the next night. I quit. 2 weeks later, a nurse who'd been working in the main building for 20 years saw my incident report. She contacted me to share that they'd had similar occurrences before. I don't believe in ghosts, but hell, I wonder what it was that I saw.